this is not the solution, but I do welcome the attempt, an out-of-left-field attempt to break the impasse on what is, the most intractable political problem that I think in the world today. I think of Yitzhak Rabin and Anwar Sadat especially, who are perhaps the only two people who have tried to break with their past and to move things on. And the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt has held since 1979.
Yes.
Sadat, who had originally been a supporter of Nazi Germany and indeed had obviously led the Yom Kippur War, the Egyptian invasion initially of Israel, he decided that he'd had enough of bloodshed, as indeed Yitzhak Rabin did. They both paid with their lives. Later, they were assassinated by fanatics within their own group. But obviously, this is not the solution, Trump's solution. But I like the idea of grand conceptual attempts to start the conversation.
Well, it's certainly true, as I said,
Funnily
Ronnie.
enough, I don't regard the idea of population transfer as crazy. I would have a different view. I would like to see any solution must give something to the Israelis and something to the Palestinians. Trump's solution gives nothing to the Palestinians. I would like... In terms of population transfer, ideally, I would like every single last Israeli settler in the West Bank to be moved. Perhaps, I don't care where they go. They can go to Mars as far as I'm concerned, but they could go to Gaza.
Well, Ronnie,
the entire Gaza population could go to an expanded West Bank.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think, but yeah, of course. We should be you raise an important point, which is that, look, if in a two-state solution, there would doubtless be some population transfer. There would have to be, because, as you allude to, and you say, we've had a lot of illegal Israeli settlement. That doubtless wouldn't be conducive, or it wouldn't be what the Palestinians would accept. Therefore, inevitably there will be some population transfer. So it's not as if we can say, or would say, or certainly I'm not saying, that population transfer is always wrong in all circumstances. But on this scale, what Trump is saying is basically removing the whole of the Gaza Strip. As you say, that doesn't get you anywhere, because why would the Palestinians ever accept that?
Correct. Yes, certainly the 2 million people could not be moved to the West Bank. No. I like the idea of Arab states, of neighboring Arab countries,
but they don't want
absorbing some of the Palestinians. Historically, this has always been a central problem. Whereas about 750,000 Palestinian refugees were created in 1948, and a similar number of Jewish refugees from Arab countries in subsequent years, they were all absorbed by Israel especially, and other countries in the world with Jewish populations. The Arab countries have never successfully absorbed. You have large numbers of Palestinian refugees, for example, in Lebanon, but they're not properly integrated into Lebanese society.
President Trump is acting, as you said, he's the president of the whole world. So he can just pick a place and say, right, I'm going to get rid of all the people and make it into a Riviera. Watching those poor people marching to a land which has been decimated by Benjamin Netanyahu and his armies and his government, and these poor people are walking, as you've seen, walking to where their homes were. And then to tell them, oh, sorry, you have to move to Jordan or you'll have to move to Egypt, without getting those the consent of those countries, is showing President Trump, to the world, that the world has to stand up to President Trump, because he doesn't recognize the International Criminal Court, nor does Benjamin Netanyahu. For him to welcome Benjamin Netanyahu as the first person to be invited to the United States, yes, and to sit next to him and smile, grinning like a Cheshire cat, he's won the cream. He's got that,
Well, I think the problem is, in terms of just keeping the peace settlement going as it is that this is, as I've been saying, I think one of the net results of this is to embolden, whether we take the plan seriously or not, it has real effects because he is the US president, and it is going to be to embolden the very, very, very radical elements, many would say far-right elements of the Israeli government, to try and get what they want, their maximalist approach, which is to basically have a greater Israel. And why wouldn't they? Because they've got an American president apparently telling them that he'll do it for them.
Why wouldn't they? And I just hope the world stands up this time, because they've been the people of the world haven't been slow, but the governments have been very slow, including ours. keep on justifying Israel has to defend itself. This has gone far enough now. It's defended itself. It's killed so many people. And now it's got a Riviera plan with the president. And the president has to... unfortunately, what I was going to say is in the Geneva... In the UN, so if America abstain in anything or don't vote for it, nothing gets passed with the Big Five. So I really think that today Keir Starmer has to pin his colours on, what he's going to say to the president, what he's going to do, because a lot of people have put trust in him, saying that he wanted Keir Starmer, that is, two-state solution. He's going to support it, but things are looking, very grey at the moment until the whole, sort of humanity stand up to the Palestinians. There is going to be, I've studied World War II, there's going to be ethnic cleansing. This is ethnic cleansing, no matter how you want to describe it. And I know you might disagree with me on that, but, lifting out nearly 2 million people and forced displacement.
Yeah.
What else can you say?
I seriously don't understand Donald Trump's thinking here, because when you think about, number one, he plays into the hands of Hamas. Okay, so now suddenly they become a freedom fighters, and obviously they can tell, look, this is what we've been telling you. We're going to be, exterminated from our land. Okay, ethnic cleansing and all sorts, and we've been killed. So therefore, they become that is something that gives them a limelight. Mm-hmm. Number two, the people who live in Gaza, why would they leave their homes? Would you like to be relocated somewhere in France and leave the UK? Mm-hmm. Would he go to Mexico and relocate to Mexico?
Well, I certainly don't think he's offering to take these people into the United States. I don't think that's on the cards.
Exactly. Why doesn't he take all these settlers, Jewish settlers, back to and give them a house in Florida where he lives? It's just ridiculous. Everybody's been working hard trying to get a two-state solution. And if you look at the land from 1948 till today, if we look at historically, that land for Palestinians is getting smaller and smaller and smaller because of the settlement. Yep. Okay, and now he's giving them, he's giving the Israeli far right, like you said before, exactly what they wanted. And the Israeli prime minister, he's a far right himself. He obviously plays cool and tells the world what they want to hear, but in the background, he agrees with these far rights. He wants to get rid of Palestinians. And I can tell you this now, it's going to happen because Donald Trump has given away east of Jerusalem to the Israelis and took away from the Palestinians. He absolutely has no respect for the Palestinians. He has no... he doesn't want to give them anything.
I think more than anything, Abdi, I think what Trump is, and I think Trump is just largely completely ignorant of the history, right? I mean, he's pretty ignorant of the... And I really don't mean this in an insulting way. Maybe it sounds insulting, but I think it's just objectively true. Trump is very ignorant about the history of the United States. He's shown that many, many times. I think he's comprehensively more ignorant about the history of the West of the world, including the Middle East. So I think I wonder whether... There's two ways of interpreting this, isn't there? One is a more malign view, which is it's all part of a kind of plan which is being hatched by Netanyahu and others, and then Trump is a useful sort of tool within it, which is to have the kind of greater Israel. That's one view, and maybe they're not mutually exclusive, these. Another one is simply that Trump is, he just is so ignorant of the actual history and the actual situation and the actual politics of the situation, and he doesn't care to learn it, that he simply sees all of these people living there, sees the destruction, just thinks, well, this is stupid, and just thinks of it like a real estate developer thinking, well, if we just get rid of these people, we'll just build some hotels, it'll be much better.
Absolutely. I think he sees views the world, and I don't think he's going to go and do the same thing, probably go to Ukraine and say, part of your land, you need to give it to Russia for me to give the world a peace. That's exactly what he's going to do. And for the Palestinians, this is not acceptable. It will never be acceptable. They will never leave their home. They would rather live in a little hut somewhere in Gaza to leave them. And why should they? Why would they leave?
Well,
their home?
that's the thing that he doesn't understand, right? And again, this is about the ignorance. He's not aware of the long history and the attachment. He just sees it. He looks at Gaza and he thinks, well, why would anyone live there? I wouldn't want to live there. But he doesn't understand that for Gazans, this is their home, and they are. If anyone's ever interviewed any Palestinians, any Gazans, they know how emotionally attached they are. Despite it all, despite how horrendous it is in so many ways, they're very attached to their homeland.
I can tell you, Louis, every single day, the 750,000 refugees in the Middle East, they come back to Palestine, and some of them they want to come back to Palestine, and some of them are saying we want to go back to our homes. And they've never been allowed. And Palestinians have learned this from history. They will never leave their home. You either have to kill them, all of them, 2 million people, and the people in the West Bank, which every day are facing difficulties because their land has been confiscated. It is just ridiculous. And the world needs to do something for these poor Palestinians.
I think it's just a bit despicable, really, to be honest, that he's saying that they should leave. I watched a press conference with him and Netanyahu, and you can see Netanyahu smiling like a Cheshire cat because he's kind of, been given what he wanted. I think Trump should just leave off and, let people from Gaza come back and try and rebuild what's been destroyed. Basically, I think he should just back off and leave them alone.
And do you think we should be taking him seriously, Sean?
Yeah, I would. Probably because he's got Netanyahu in his ear, and Netanyahu is, he's got all the American politicians wrapped around his finger. So I think he's kind of using Trump as a kind of middleman. So I think we should take him very seriously. I'm not too sure about the Greenland thing, but I think with Gaza, I think it's, there's a lot of nefarious things going on, and a lot of the settlers post October 7th were saying they can't wait to go to Gaza and have beachfront properties, and people kind of didn't really take that very seriously. But I think now they are. That's kind of that was their plan. They wanted those properties. So I think, maybe the UN and some other bodies need to step in and kind of tell Trump, just to kind of back off a little bit, I think, and just try and rebuild what hasn't been destroyed. I think most of it's been destroyed. If you look at the pictures and the videos, it's terrible. It looks like something from Mad Max.
Yeah. Sean in Heathfield, grateful to you. I'm just